The Pac-12 regular season is wrapped up, and so today I'll be giving you guys my 2023 Pac-12 tournament predictions as we look forward to Conference Tournament Week. This is one of the major conference tournaments, and we'll be breaking it top to bottom here today. Let's get started with the first round. We got Washington against Colorado, 8 versus 9 matchup here. You got two teams that played each other once in the regular season. Washington won that matchup by 3, but this time around I've got Colorado winning it and pulling off the win over Washington. I think Colorado is a team that, coming off of a nice win over Utah, they bring some of that momentum into the tournament, and they get the win in the first round. I mean, Washington coming into this matchup, they played decent down the stretch. They've won 3 of their past 5, but they've also lost their last 2 games. They lost to Stanford and then to Washington State. So I think Colorado pulls it off in the end in what should be a close matchup. Then you got Washington State against Cal. Cal is an absolutely horrible team, 3-28 overall, 2-18 in conference. Just a terrible season for them. And Washington State on the other side, the 5 seed, is a much more solid team. Definitely something to still play for. And I'm going with the Cougars here to get the win. Pretty easily too, I think. I mean, Cal is, once again, just a terrible team. And I think at this point, they just want to be over with their season. And Washington State gets the win. They proceed on to the quarterfinals. Utah and Stanford is next. This is a matchup that could definitely go either way. I mean, we saw these two teams split the series during the season 1-1. Stanford won the last matchup, which was a little while ago. So it's been a while since we last saw these two teams play each other. Stanford won the game at Utah, so that is something to keep in mind. And I think in the first round, we see Stanford win it again, and they take down Utah. This is, once again, pretty much a coin toss. Could very well go either way. But Stanford, they have played pretty well down the stretch. They've been competitive. They've won 2 of their last 3, had a nice win over Washington, and then beat Oregon State as well. Now, obviously, 2 of the worst teams in the Pac-12, but they were very competitive against Oregon to finish out the regular season. So I think they put up a fight here and get the win against Utah. Arizona State and Oregon State, this one is also an interesting matchup, but Oregon State really doesn't have much to play for at this point. Arizona State definitely does. And I think Arizona State wins because of that. They're just going to be, I think, much more motivated in this matchup. That is a guarantee. And Oregon State puts up a fight. I think they keep it close, but give me ASU in the end. This team did lose their last 2 games of the regular season to USC and then to UCLA, which does concern me a bit. Maybe they're a bit cold heading into the tournament. Oregon State on the other side hasn't been impressive at all, although they did win against Cal in their last game of the regular season, but Cal once again is just straight up terrible. So both teams are pretty cold heading into this matchup, and I'm going with Arizona State in the end just because at least they got something to play for. And then at the top we got Colorado and UCLA in the quarterfinals. I've got UCLA winning this matchup. They're playing too well right now, and Colorado just isn't the best team, and UCLA is definitely a team that I see very dangerous once we get to March Madness, and I like UCLA to win this matchup in the end. Then you got Oregon and Washington State. This would be a fun matchup. 2 teams that split this series this regular season. We saw Washington State win the last matchup by 3, and 4 versus 5 matchup. Honestly, whoever wins this game between Oregon and Washington State, I could very well see going all the way and winning this tournament. And I'm going to go with Oregon to win this one. Honestly, it's tough going against Washington State. They are very hot right now. But we did see Oregon lose just a few games ago. That was not too long ago when Washington State beat Oregon. I think the Ducks come into this game ready to go, and they learn from the mistakes that they had against Washington State in the previous game, and the Ducks get the win in the end. They proceed on to the semifinals. You got Stanford and Arizona. Honestly, I'm not even that sure Stanford's going to get past the first round, but it doesn't matter in the end. I'm going Arizona to win in the quarterfinals. It doesn't matter whether they're playing Utah or Stanford. I think Arizona proceeds on. I do like the Wildcats as a dangerous team as well. I mean, there's 4 teams I think in this tournament that I could very well see winning it. There's not quite as many teams as in comparison to some tournaments that I could see winning it all. I mean, you got UCLA, you got Oregon, you got Washington State. I think that could be a threat. Arizona as well. I mean, USC and Arizona State both could be up there. So you could consider that as well. But your main teams I could see definitely winning this tournament are UCLA, Washington State, Oregon, and then Arizona. But for Arizona State and USC down here, I do want to go with Arizona State. I do think the Sun Devils catch some fire heading into this matchup. And, I mean, this one is one that could definitely go either way. USC's played fairly well down the stretch. Arizona State did lose their last 2 games of the regular season, and that the last match it was against USC on the road. And so I think Arizona State kind of a similar situation to that Oregon and Washington State game, but Arizona State, I do think they take down USC this time around. And for USC, it is tough to beat the same team twice, especially in a row. So I got the Sun Devils winning that in the end. Then in the semifinals, you got UCLA and Oregon. And I've got Oregon proceeding on to the championship here, upsetting UCLA. This is a matchup where, according to the stats, the numbers, everything, UCLA should win this matchup. This is a team that's won 10 straight heading into the Pac-12 tournament. And, everything's saying that UCLA, they're the favorite to win it out of the Pac-12. But I honestly think it might be for the better that UCLA takes a loss in this tournament, mainly because, the real thing that matters is March Madness here. And, having that long winning streak, and if you go on to win the Pac-12 tournament, you're heading into March Madness with like a 13-game winning streak. So, I just think with that on your mind as you head into March Madness, that's not the best thing to have a massive winning streak like that. And, so I do think it might be for the better for them to take a loss in the Pac-12 tournament because of that. Sounds crazy, but it is true. And so for Oregon, I got them proceeding on to the Pac-12 championship. Plus, I think they play a solid enough game to get to this point. Then you got Arizona and Arizona State rivalry matchup. This would be fun to see this matchup. Of course, you remember, I think this was the match where we saw the big buzzer beater not too long ago. Arizona State pulling off the upset. But this time around, Arizona wins it. They proceed on to the Pac-12 championship. It's definitely one that could go either way. But I do like Arizona. I think this is a team that is pretty reliable, and I'm pretty comfortable with them to pick them to go to the championship. And then you got Oregon and Arizona. We saw these two teams play each other a while ago. And when it was Arizona who won it 91-76. But these two did split the series during the season as Oregon won the first matchup by 1. And this time around, I do have Oregon winning it, and they win the Pac-12 title. I think the Ducks as a whole are they're a solid, consistent team. And I think coming off of that UCLA win, I think they're looking good heading into the championship, and they take down Arizona. They're the Pac-12 champions, and this is, once again, a tournament that is very much wide open. There are, 5 or 6 teams that I can see very well winning this tournament, and in the end, I've got Oregon on top. But let me know your thoughts in the comments below on this tournament, this bracket, everything, and I appreciate you guys watching as always. Stay tuned for more from All Sports Central. Catch you on the next one.